MovieToAmerica.com. Enter your zip code. Find out where you can find us locally. I'm Dr. Gina. Welcome back to America Trends. Hashtag Paris is in Germany is trending today on Twitter in response to a Donald Trump tweet. Donald Trump sent out a tweet that said, "Man shot inside Paris police station. Just announced that terror threat is at highest level. Germany is a total mess. Big crime. Get smart." I think Trump was obviously talking about two different incidents, but here with his reaction to all of this is radio talk show host Michael Hart. Michael, welcome back to America Trends. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Gina.
Now, Michael, what do you think of this latest Trump controversy? Do you think Trump needs a geography lesson, as many in the leftist media are trying to suggest?
Of course not, Gina. You know, anybody that would think that was legitimate is absolutely off of their rocker. Of course, the man knows that Paris is in France. It's inane on every single level. And if you look at the tweet, it's even got a period behind it. He is simply trying to speak to the condition of Europe in 140 characters or less.
Right.
You know, he could have said a whole lot more here, but the reality of it is, and I think what's even more fascinating of his tweets are the ones that followed it. So there's a level of intellectual naivete at play here that's stunning to me.
You think this will backfire on the media like pretty much everything else they've tried to do to Trump? Can't Trump just use this as another illustration of how the media twists his words?
I don't think this media, the current mainstream media, and its liberal sycophant type of mentality, I don't think it can be painted in any worse of a light than it already has been. I mean, there's too much youth, there's too much immaturity, there's such a lack of journalistic integrity in this case. I don't think it really is going to backfire on them because they've already proven themselves. They've outed themselves as being biased, being prejudiced, impish, wimpish, peckish, and peevish as far as I'm concerned.
All right, well, Trump was referring, of course, to another terror attack in Paris. A man who pledged allegiance to ISIS was shot dead by French police after approaching a Paris police station, wielding a meat cleaver and shouting Allahu Akbar. Michael, France and the rest of Europe really are in trouble, aren't they?
Gina, the whole thing is falling apart. You know, you've got all these reports, you know, the Germany New Year's Eve, the assault and rape scenario that took place. Europe is unfolding. And that, again, is what Trump is trying to demonstrate with this tweet. He's trying to encapsulate as much as he possibly can, again, in that 140 characters or less. But the simple reality of it is Great Britain, France, Spain, Norway, Finland, the list goes on and on. Germany, the list goes on and on. Every one of these European nations is under assault, and I fear it's going to get significantly worse.
The other story Trump was referring to was out of Germany. The widespread reports of rapes and robberies committed by these refugees from Syria on New Year's Eve. Now, I actually heard Pamela Geller on Sean Hannity's show today saying that authorities have absolutely confirmed that almost all of those who have now been caught and arrested for these crimes were actually Syrian refugees, and they are doing it in the name of Islam. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, I've spoken to her several times as well, and it's simply a cultural thing for them. They don't, you know, obviously women are expendable, they're property. We know how they're treated in the Middle East. The simple fact of the matter is, rape in that particular situation, it's obviously not a sexual thing. It's a form of discipline. It's a form of disenfranchisement. It's just a simple fact that in Middle Eastern culture, women are chattel. They're not considered humans, at least not at the level of a man. It's become widespread, and it's become very much a part of the fabric of their culture. And we're just now beginning to understand that aspect of the culture. Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump also kind of made a little bit of an issue out of Ted Cruz's his eligibility.
Right,
and he sent out a tweet that sort of almost advised Ted to go ahead and get this taken care of right now. Do you think that there's a chance that, I mean, was this more of Trump's sort of antagonistic personality, or do you think there's a chance that it's because he's looking at Ted Cruz, rather. Ted Cruz as a viable VP option, and he wants him to get that out of the way. Some are surmising that. I wonder what your thought is.
I think he's poking holes at Cruz just to be Donald Trump, because Cruz doesn't have any eligibility issues. His mom's from Delaware. You don't get more American than that. Constitutionally speaking, he qualifies. Maybe it's a matter of he doesn't want that thrown back in his face vis-a-vis President Obama's potential Kenyan roots. But, when you really get right down to it, historically speaking, the vice presidential candidate has not a ticket made. I don't think Trump is that concerned about it. I think he's poking fun at Ted Cruz, almost like a little boy punching a girl on a playground. Obviously, there's no issue there. I think he's viewing Cruz as a potential running mate. I think Cruz would, and quite frankly, should accept it. But I don't think it's really anything more than that, because constitutionally speaking, Mr. Cruz has nothing to fear.
The Donald campaigning tonight in Vermont, Michael. They expect 20,000 people to show up at a venue that seats 1,400.
Right.
What the heck? How does he attract these crowds?
Well, I saw him in Mobile, Alabama some months ago, and there was 32,000 people there, pardon me. And it's like a political rock concert, Gina. He's just fun to watch.
All right. Well, some candidates are in New Hampshire, others are in Iowa, and Trump decided he'd go into Bernie Sanders' hometown of Burlington, Vermont. He doesn't really play by the rules, does he, Michael?
No, he does not. He's his own guy, and that's what people love about him. I don't want to paste him like he's a Jesse Ventura kind of a candidate, but he's charismatic, he's brash, he's brazen. Quite frankly, he's ballsy, and people want that out of their next leader.
Reminds me of a certain talk show host I know, but that's another topic.
Yeah, well.
Michael Hart, thank you so much for being with us. God bless you. Roll a little Tide. And up next, we're going to talk about Bill Clinton's new woman problems. But first, let's take a look.